Hey, okay. We are live with Dr. Tony. Yay! I'm so excited to have you join us. So, hello to everybody able to watch live today. And I bet we're going to have a bunch of people on replay too. Okay, I'm going to share
Yes,
this in with my email list, and we'll have some people on replay. We did end up needing to reschedule, but I'm so glad that we were able to.
I am too. I love your background, by the way. I
I was
love
thinking the
that.
same about yours. All your colors, the movement, and the succulents, like, I love it.
Thank
These are actually
you.
these are actually worship flags. I'm traveling right now, and so I
Uh-huh.
bring my flags with me,
I
and
love
I
that.
find a way to make them my background.
Yeah, I love that. I just received a new set. It's funny because I'm looking at my set over there and it's like the pastel version. It's almost a pastel version of your bold colors. And that's why I'm like, when you said worship flags, I looked at mine. I was like, oh my
So
gosh.
these are made by the same artist, and the reason I know that is you and I have a mutual friend, and she
Yes,
told me
we
to send
do.
her
Yep.
flags, and I was like, "Ooh, yay."
I
That's
love it. The
I know.
synergy. Yep.
Oh, yes, that's one of my favorite words also. So, hi,
Yes.
Val. I see you on here. Val's on here, and she's tagging some people.
Hey,
Sweet.
Val.
Hi. Okay, so I want to introduce you because there are probably a few people who are going to be watching here. Like several do know you, a few
Mhm.
people won't. And I'm so excited to introduce you. So, for anybody who does not know Dr. Tony, you are going to be so happy that you are now being introduced to her. Yes. So Dr. Tony Robinson, so you and I actually met at a Kingdom Reformer conference down in Dallas
Yes.
in the ladies' bathroom, which is all like that's where all prophetic women meet each other.
Yep.
I'm like, I've heard so many different stories about almost the exact same thing. And I'm like, well, that's how I met Dr. Tony. Um, and it was interesting because as you were speaking at that conference, my like Holy Spirit was just like, pay attention to this connection because I just was, I felt like my whole body was on fire and every single thing you said hit and resonated with, what Holy Spirit had been sharing with me. And I just felt like there was a heart connection. So I'm so glad that we have been able to connect. And
Yes.
after that, you became a trainer at School of Kingdom,
Mhm.
you're such a great addition to that space. I love it. I'm an alumni myself. So, okay. So you are the founder and visionary of the Prophetic Collective, a
Mhm.
prophetic voice to the nations, a dynamic dream catalyst. And I know that is a huge part of your story, a huge part of what you
Yes.
unlock in others
Mhm.
is dreaming a new dream. And I have been pulling people lately because I've really been feeling like there are some dreams being revived this year in
Yes.
particular. And
Yes.
so, yeah. And so I've been pulling people like, who is it that's feeling disappointed? Who feels like their dreams are just, they've really just set them aside because
Mhm.
it has either, roadblocks or it's something just fizzled out, right?
Yes.
And that
Yes.
God is stirring that again. And so I love having you on here because I know that's something that you carry. So listen up if you're somebody who's been disappointed, disillusioned, and you've let go of your dreams, but you're really feeling like it's time to start dreaming
Yes.
again.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is a good spot for you to be. So welcome.
Mhm.
I'm so glad to have you. What else do you want to
Thank
share about
you.
yourself?
Thank you, and I'm happy to be here because I just love you, and I just
I
love
know.
that I've got to see you in Vegas, not just in Texas, but here,
Yes,
and we got to go for a little fun spin.
we did. It was
It's
so fun.
funny. It's funny is that in the dream catalyst aspect of who I am, at closing, as we were beginning to close out 2023, God threw in a whole other word around that, around me. And it was like, okay, what is it? And he says, you're not just a dream catalyst, you're a dream disruptor. And I just thought, oh,
Ooh.
wait a minute, because sometimes a disruptor, because that's like we qualify that with the word disruption. And disruption is usually, we think of disruption as something that's a distraction. So it carries for some people a negative connotation. And he's like, no, I've called you in this season to not just be a catalyst for dreams, but to be a disruptor of dreams, because there's people that are holding on to things that have gone stale, or they're living out dreams that were never my dreams for them, but because
Mm,
they've worked, they continue to operate in them, and there's no joy in it. There's no, like, there's no glory, there's no excitement, there's no passion, there's no hunger, but it's
yes.
working and it's been producing. And so because it's been working and producing, people have misinterpreted that as, well, this must be my will for them, but I'm
Mhm.
always wanting to give you more. And so I'm coming in now, like, to help disrupt dreams that are leading to roads of nowhere and
Mm.
paths to nothingness. And even if they're working, because we go by that logic, well, if it's not broken, don't fix it, right? And so
Ah,
it's like, but sometimes what, just because it's working doesn't mean it's not broken. So I'm showing up now
yes.
disrupting folks' worlds and dreams, because you're being invited to something greater that will be a catalyst. So
That's
that's a
so
whole
good. I love that. Oh, I love that so
new
much. One of the things about this Hebrew year, we'll hear like it's the year of the doors, right? And a lot of people are
Yes.
saying open doors, open doors, open doors. But
Mhm.
it's not just open doors, it's the year of the door. And
Come on
doors,
now. Yes.
some doors need to close.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
some doors
Thank
have to
you.
close before other doors can open.
Come on now. Yes. And we stand in thresholds. We stand in thresholds, which means
Mm,
we're standing in the gap. We're standing in betwixt and in between, because
yeah.
we're afraid to close the door that we're in, but we're also afraid to open up the new door. And
Ooh,
some doors absolutely need to be closed, and not just closed. Those babies need to be burnt down so we can't reassess them ever again. I tell people, listen, they say don't burn some bridges behind you. Some
yeah.
bridges need to be burned so that you can't cross back and other stuff can't
Yeah.
cross over. But even
Good.
in that, in closing doors, and this is the year of the door, I think we forget that we're a door. Like, we are doors. We're the gates. Lift up your heads, oh you gates, that the King of Glory can come in. We are gates. We're doors. And so
Yeah.
if we're going to operate in the year of the door, we have to recognize and partner with the fact that I'm a
Woo.
door, and I get to decide who and what comes in, and who and what no longer has
Yes.
access.
Yes. Yes. Say that. Oh, that is so good. And that leads us straight into our topic of ascension.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh my gosh. And I want to say this because somebody said, okay, talking about things that we hear all the time.
Hmm.
You've heard the veil is thin between earth and heaven, right?
Yes.
And that it's more and more thin. I would love to know what you think of that.
Okay, so this is what I think. I think that the veil is not thin. I think the veil has been torn. It was torn with Jesus on the cross and resurrecting, and that there's no separation between heaven and earth. There's no separation between natural and supernatural, which means every aspect of who
Woo.
we are, if it's supernatural, that's supposed to be our natural. There is no veil. Heaven isn't distant, it isn't far. Heaven is here. Heaven is in me. Heaven is in you, because the kingdom, listen. And I think we think that because we've been taught like God is in heaven. And so that means heaven is in some distant, faraway place that
Right.
we're constantly looking for answers. And it's like that would imply heaven has to be big bigger than God and nothing is bigger than God. So heaven is in God. It's an aspect of God. And if we're seated in heavenly places, then that means we're not behind a veil.
Oh,
There is no veil. It's all relevant and it's all now, but we have to have
yeah.
an awareness of the frequency of heaven so we
Mm.
can tune into it. Oh my gosh. Okay. So it's kind of like when old school television, and I just keep talking about this because it keeps coming up. Old school television, when they had rabbit ears, right? And they had, 5 channels and it was USJAF and VHF, and you would have to kind of get it just right and turn and fine tune it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the image that you were trying to see, the channel that you were trying to watch would be
Yes.
behind static. That's
So
what it's
good.
looked like to believe that the veil between heaven and earth and heaven and us is thin, and it's getting thinner because we're like, oh, it's getting clearer, adjusted, we're getting better, but we're still trying to see the picture behind static. But the
Yeah.
moment that we tune in and we
Yeah.
have the ears just right and the picture is clear,
Mm.
is the moment we've tuned into the frequency of heaven that's always been afforded to us. And we realize that's just static. It was never a veil. But then, oh my gosh, something greater happens. Something greater happens. Because I'm looking at the TV and it's back then, it was black and white and they were trying to do all this. But then there's a Wizard of Oz moment where it starts off in black and white, right? And then all
Yeah.
of a sudden it's in technicolor that we've never saw before. So
Yeah.
the moment we get into the awareness that there is no veil, that we have access to the frequency of heaven because we carry the frequency of heaven. So we match frequency and we tune in. Then
Mm.
all of a sudden, even the things that we have been taught that were very black and white, very one dimensional, that light breaks off and we get to see everything in high def, ultra 4K, Technicolor. We see the beauty of it and there's no separation.
Ah, that's so good. I'm so glad I asked you that question.
Me
I
too.
'Cause I had that one, I have it written down. The veil is thin, quote unquote, illusion. We equal portal.
Yes, come on.
That's what
Yes,
my notes
yes,
say. So,
yes.
that I
And
did not
again, the
share before we
portal
started.
is the door. We're the door. We're
Yeah,
the portal.
exactly. Exactly, exactly. I like to say you are a living, walking, talking, breathing portal of heaven.
Come
You
on. Yes.
like we are citizens of heaven. We are called aliens because we are literally, but we are aliens, but we are also assigned and appointed here on this earth to
Yes.
have dominion over creation, which is why creation is calling for the
Yes. Yes.
manifestation of the
Yes.
sons and daughters of
Yes.
God, right?
Mhm. Yes.
Speaking of which, I feel like we're dancing around the whole word ascension. So, can which you were really describing, right? You were
Yes.
describing that
Mhm.
tuning into frequency as being a part of ascension. So, can we talk about what is ascension?
I think ascension is a posture. It's a position of elevated awareness.
Yeah.
It's an increase because an increase is a rising, right? So it's an increasing awareness of our elevated position or our ascended position in Christ. It's a greater awareness of where we're called to live from, breathe from, operate and function from. It's an invitation. It really is an invitation to come higher.
Yeah.
It's an invitation and an opportunity. So when we begin to hear the word ascension, I begin to hear God is inviting me to come higher because it is higher still.
Mhm.
There's levels to ascension that have been the more that we have I think the more that we have an awareness
Mhm.
that there's no limit.
Mhm.
There's no limit to, oh, I'm
Yes.
gonna cry. There's no limit to his increase. There's no limit to his space of abundance, to his
Yes.
boundless creativity. There's no limit. And so
Mm,
we get to rise, we get to elevate, we get to come higher, and we get to live from that place. And it also, its ascension speaks to what happened when Jesus left the earth and he was
yeah.
ascended. And the disciples were standing there looking, and the angels like, or the witnesses were like, why are you standing there, man of Galilee? What are you gazing at? Like, what? So sometimes we stand around gazing at things, like looking up into the heavens, trying
Mm,
to wonder or figure it out. And it's like, no, we don't have to do that. We've been invited to live, to be divine partakers
yes.
of the ascension, because he's
Yeah.
ascended. So have we. And
Mhm.
we can operate and live from that place, because that's truly the place that he's always intended for us to operate and function from.
I just love the passion that this conversation is unlocking in you, and I
Like,
watch you.
I get excited.
Yes.
I'm so passionate about it, and passionate for others to come into this awareness, because it breaks chains, it brings freedom. And
Yes.
it's an increased manifestation of who we are, that this is, and how we can bring dominion, how we can advance the kingdom. And it's like, my heart is for everyone to experience this.
Yes. Yes, it does, it brings so much freedom. So, I just wanna and I want to somewhat summarize a little bit of what we've been talking about, because what we're talking about is experience, not just experiencing God in a more intimate way, although that is like the heart is there, right?
Yes,
Of what you're doing. And that is a part of the experience, but it's also is recognizing that there is no separation. It's recognizing
yes,
what's already there.
yes, yes,
And
and yes,
and stepping into that. So it's really this new lens, which I believe is what happens, what I've experienced
yes,
when you do go higher, is your perspective shifts.
yes, yes,
Because now you're operating in a different field. You're
yes,
seeing things differently. You're connecting with different frequencies. You're not disrupted in the same way that
yes,
and, we were talking about disruption earlier. Certain things do need to be disrupted, and actually certain things will like, a lot of things will just fall away when
yes,
we're increasing that awareness and that higher view.
yes.
And but we're not being disrupted in our communication. In fact, our communication is that much more clear,
Come on now.
right?
Yes.
From what we're hearing from him, which is why ascension and practicing ascension directly leads to impact.
Yes, it
So can
does.
we
Yes.
talk about that? Because you have some retreats coming up. I posted the name of your retreat, Ascension, the Sacred and Luxurious Retreat. I love the idea of marrying self-care and
Yes.
and also doing what Jesus did, which was to withdraw for a time.
Yes. Yes.
And there's something really powerful, like, even at the height of his ministry, he would withdraw,
Mhm.
right? We have to do that sometimes, don't we?
Yes, we do. Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
we do.
So
Yes.
let's talk about that. I would love to hear what you believe is in this realm, like, in pursuit of ascension and this higher perspective.
Mhm.
What does that do for leaders, for trailblazers, for those who are actually have such a desire for impact? Because that's who this retreat is for, right?
It is. And so, and it is, and it sometimes, we, even as kingdom folks, we can get into the rut of routine.
Yeah,
And we're running on what we've heard, and we're running on what we've seen,
yeah.
which is really, really good, and it's really, really fine. But what
Mhm.
if there's more? And what if, because I think sometimes when we get into a routine of running on what we've seen and what
Yeah,
we've heard, we can miss what we need to see now and what's being said now. And it
Mm.
breaks up the routine because it brings us into a greater space of awareness. Because as you like you said, when we ascend, we can see clearly. We can see from a different we can see from the right now perspective, right?
Yeah.
And so we're seeing that, oh, there's so much more. And so I know for me personally, what has a tendency to happen is I can get in a really good groove and I can get in a really good space and it feels good because it's working, right? It's working as this. But then sometimes there's this space that wants to, it feels like there's something more and I need to withdraw. And I
Mhm.
realize, oh, there's a part of me that has been running on routine.
Yeah.
And there's this need in me where I need a refresh.
Mm.
And it's something you said, in pursuit of ascension. And so then I'll begin to pursue something new. I'll pursue something different. But
Mm.
when I can withdraw, I realize that what I was pursuing is right here and available for me, and most likely it's been pursuing me, like, "Slow down,
Yes,
come
yes.
away, retreat," because
Yeah.
we're running after, and I'm running and I'm attempting to create something, but I can't create, and it's creating a frustration, and
Mhm.
that frustration is coming from me having slightly moved away from
Mhm.
that who's given me the power to create, that I'm co-creating with. And
Yes.
so when people come to a space like Ascension, it's which is really a sacred and luxurious, right? Because it's
Yeah.
vacational in nature. It's a beachfront. So you're at the water, you're that all of the elements and the frequency of earth is there. There's
I'm gonna
space.
show a little picture of your
And so we get to put our
your
feet
website.
in the water. We're putting our feet on the ground where the weather, the wind, all of it is designed by God for us to
Mhm.
connect with
Yeah.
creation, with nature, which He speaks and
Mhm.
moves so powerfully through. And it
Yeah.
helps us to clear out the clutter, clear out the space. It almost is like we get to come into a room that's
Mhm.
completely clear and free, that we can dream bigger from, we can dream wider from, we can breathe in. And because breath work is so
Mhm.
important, that's one of the things we'll be doing is breath work, is breathing
Yes.
in tandem with the Trinity. And and sound is vital.
Mhm.
What are we hearing? Where, you
Mhm.
know, so we're clearing out clutter there to release new sound and frequency. So we'll have sound bath taking place there, and we'll be doing movement because it's
Mhm.
all of the things, right? So we'll be doing movement and on the water and the beach and all
Mhm.
the spaces. So we're clearing out everything that prevents us from operating from the right perception, which is a higher perception,
Yeah.
because we're at an ascendant frequency.
Yeah, that's so good. And, one of the things that I have experienced is when we're entering into a transitional space, then there is this clearing that has to happen in
Yes,
order for us to hear, to connect, all of that space actually has to be created or co-created, because if we don't, like you said, if you're just a little bit off, a little bit disconnected, there's a trajectory that actually begins to widen that gap.
yes,
And those of us who are in here, highly intuitive, we're feelers, will start to feel it, and it will feel like frustration, and it will start to
yes,
feel like striving, and it will start
yes.
to feel like performance, and it'll feel like, "Why don't I feel like myself right now?"
Mhm.
Right?
Yes. And
Yeah.
it feels like we've been taken out of what it is that we're supposed to be creating, and we've been
Mhm,
taken out of, like you said, why don't I feel like myself? Like, this
mhm.
doesn't feel authentic to me. This
Right.
doesn't feel like it's in alignment with my truest self.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we'll start looking around to gain our footing. But if we're not looking at the right things, then we'll still be we'll keep gaining traction, even if it's wrong traction, right? And
Yeah.
so by that, because we look around and it's like, well, God, what's going on? Like, Father, was Jesus, Holy Spirit, like, what's happening? Because this is really successful. For instance, like I've been in some spaces where it was the most successful time of my career, where like being a dream catalyst has been the most successful thing that I've done, is helping people to launch dreams and to be a catalyst for dreams. But then all of a sudden it starts feeling like, what's going on? Like this, I'm watching the people that I'm serving, they're successful. What I'm doing, if I look at it on paper, if I look at it in the natural, it's very successful, but there's that piece that feels like, I don't know what's going on. And it's like, oh, you're transitioning me from being just a solitary dream catalyst. There's a whole other
Mhm.
space of operation that you're inviting me to, where the road has been widened for me
Mm.
to step into now, helping people disrupt dreams. And I like it over here. It's
Ah!
like, I like it over here. And so now I feel like I
So
can
good.
breathe here, where before it felt like I was like having to almost grind out breath work, like, oh, Jesus, okay, let's go. And I'm excited because it's working, but I get off a call and it's like, what, like that was so good, but then it's like, now it's over here. It's like, bring them, bring them, bring them, bring them. So
Yeah.
the road is being widened so that I have greater kingdom impact, because there is a place that when we're in complete alignment, we're
Mhm.
not just creating influence, but our influence is being leveraged to a place of impact. And I
Yeah.
don't want to just be an influencer. I
Yeah.
want my influence to have an impact, because
Yeah.
an impact leaves an indelible mark, and that's kingdom.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I love that. It leaves an indelible mark, um,
Mhm.
lasting impact,
Yes.
right? And that's why Jesus was talking about, you're gonna bear I chose you to bear fruit, but not just any
Yes.
fruit, the
Yes.
fruit that lasts.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. And
And
then reproduce after your own kind. So you're constantly
yes,
producing fruit that
yeah,
lasts.
yes. I love it. I love it. I love it. Awesome. So let me share where all right. So we won't give the details right now, but if anybody is interested in the retreat, first of all, here is the website. I'll make sure, actually, in the description of this, there's also a link in the description
Yes,
of this broadcast. So you can go there, you can check it out, see what it's all about. Um, there is a special offer that Dr. Tony has presented to our community. So please reach out to me or Dr. Tony to ask more
mhm,
about that. If
yes,
the time works for you and you're feeling it in your spirit that like, oh, I would love to do this, just reach out and ask, and we will share that with you.
yes, because it's really good.
It's really good, and I will tell you, if I didn't have friends coming to visit that exact week, like and by the way, if somebody doesn't move on the oh, yeah, and it's small. Let's talk real quick, last thing.
Yes,
This is a small, intimate retreat, and
yes.
it's you and Brian Orme is joining you too,
Yes,
right?
yes, I
You
love
can send
him.
at the retreat. I
Yes,
know. He actually wrote, uh, 2 books on Ascension that
yes,
are
yes,
yes. Oh, I love that.
yes.
That
He
having
is phenomenal.
he
Yes.
is phenomenal. I've gotten
And
to sit
we have
under
a
some
third friend joining us, and she's not as popularly known yet, but her name is Christina Mason, and she is a wonderful spirit-filled sound bath practitioner.
mm,
So she's going to be coming and leading us in frequency, worship through frequency and sound.
I love that.
And we'll also be doing some kintsugi. So if you're familiar with that, that is
I don't
amazing.
know what that is.
It's a Japanese art, modality where, because they have a Japanese belief that When something has been broken, it holds more value than it hasn't. And it's like, so they have broken pieces of pottery that they've been restored, but where the cracks and breaks were, it's been sealed with gold, which
Yeah.
makes the
Yeah.
piece so much more valuable. So she's going to walk us through that. And so we're going to be doing some gold restoration within our
Woo!
heart spaces as well as with pottery. So, and I
Wow.
have a couple of pieces that I've done, well, at least one piece with her that I've done. And it was just like to be able to visually see where God lined the broken places of my personal life. When my husband died, that was a huge heartbreak. But to see visually how God has lined that with gold
Mm,
and made it so much more valuable, which is why I am where I am today and who I am today, to see it brought to life. It's just
mm.
transformative on
I love
multiple
that.
levels.
So, so beautifully said, and I absolutely love that you have these tactile processes that you're
Yes.
doing in your retreat. One of the things that is super important to me is to bring things that are activating that you can do in the moment. Speaking of which, I sprung this on you at the literal last second, and I was like, "Can
Yes.
you put together a little activation for us at the end of our talk?"
I sure can. So let's do
Yes, let's
this
do it.
because this is an invitation, one, for us to be a door, and two, it's an opportunity for us to ascend, to rise, right?
Mm,
So I want you guys to just kind of hold your hands out like you're going to receive a gift, because the Father is always wanting to give gifts, and He never withholds anything from His children.
yeah.
And as we are closing our eyes, and I want you to see yourself as a door, and a door is a gift. A door is a gift. Think of a brand new home. You have to walk through a door. That's a gift. A brand new vehicle, which is a method of transportation, right? And with
Yeah.
a bow on it. You get a new car with a bow on it. But if you never open the door to get in the vehicle, you can't drive. If you never open the door to your new home to walk in it, you can't
Mm,
occupy it or take ownership of it. So as you see yourself as a door, you're
mhm,
going to, with the big bow on it, you are a gift from God. So I just want you to take a few seconds to see yourself, shape your door, whether it's a door to a house, a mansion, a beachside cottage, or a little villa or a big villa, or see yourself as a vehicle, a method of transportation, because we're carriers and couriers of God's glory. What does that look like? And as you're seeing yourself as this door, I want you to see the Father turning the knob or
mm,
opening the lever and opening you up. He's opening the door that you are. And you're face to face with the Father and His love for you and who He's called you to be in the process of this moment. And He's inviting you to upgrade, to come higher. And just ask Him in this moment, Father, what is the ascension upgrade that you've called me to as a door in the kingdom? And I want you to just sit with that for a moment. And for some of you, it's going to be greater measures of who you are, maybe as a woman, as a daughter, as a queen.
mm,
For some of you, it's going to be a door as a mom, and it won't make sense now. But in that invitation, maybe down the line, He's calling you to be a mom to nations. And the invitation is starting with you being as a door to elevated mom now, to the babies that you have right now, because nothing is wasted. No time is wasted. No space is wasted.
mm,
As a business owner, what does it look like? Maybe the ascension is taking part in collaborations where you get to be a door that brings success, measurable success to others. That's you bearing fruit of lasting kind. Maybe it's an invitation of expansion of glory so that everyone around you can taste and see that the Lord is good. Ha!
Mm.
For some of you, it's an expansion of sound where he's upgrading the door of your voice, that it'll be far reaching. And he's expanding the reach of your sound to higher heights and deeper depths.
Mhm.
And that there's people that's been waiting to hear your sound, but they couldn't hear it from the lower level,
Yeah.
but they can hear it from the higher ascended place. And they've been waiting for you. They've been looking for you.
Mm. That's good.
And we embrace our gift. And as
Mm.
we open it up, we recognize that it's not just for us, but our gift and our door is God's gift for humanity.
Mm.
You are God's gift for humanity. You are his treasure on the earth, and you're being revealed daily.
Mm. It's good. Yeah.
Ascension
Mm.
looks wonderful on y'all.
Oh, I love it. That was beautiful and enthralling, and I really resonated. I was actually seeing a cave when you were talking about the voice resonating, and I was hearing it, like, echo throughout the cave and amplify,
Yes.
and wow, that was really powerful. Thank you so, so much, Dr.
Thank
Tony.
you. Thank you. I'm always honored to hang out.
Oh my gosh, the honor is mine. Thank you everybody for watching with us today. And also on the replay. I know we're going to have a few on the replay as well, probably more than a few. So thank you. We love you. We bless you. Reach out to myself or Dr. Tony. We're both available on Facebook. Or if you're catching this in an email, just reply to the email and we'd be
Yes.
happy to chat with you more about it. All right. All right. Love you guys. Bye.